Okay guys, Terry Pike here, 2006 Suzuki Forenza. Okay, we're on the fuel injector rail now with the fuel injectors. I was going to look here, I was going to replace these O-rings right here. Okay. In the head gasket set, these are the O-rings that you'll get right here. Now I took one of them off, and you can notice you see the difference in it. The OD is the same, but other than that, you can see there's a big difference there. So I'm gonna not put these here on. These appear to be okay. I know they're used. It's always good to replace these. I don't have the actual size for this, and they weren't leaking before, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put these on. Also, I took one of these here clips out right here. This here clip, took a screwdriver, put in there, and just prized this up, popped the clip right off. And even the O-ring that's up in here is, we don't even have that at all. Totally different size O-ring. So just put that back. Like I said, there was no problem here leaking fuel. These down here is for taking care of, that you don't have a vacuum leak. So in any event, I'm just going to put this back on, and I'm just going to reuse these here O-rings, and hopefully we'll be okay. What you want to do with this is put a little bit of oil on your O-rings. This will hold true too if you put on new one, of course. Then just take it and slide it on. Now what I did is I use a scribe. Be careful with this here. It's really sharp pointed. Stick it underneath, just kind of lift it over, okay, and then just slide it right out. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now when I come back, I'm going to put a little bit more on each one of these O-rings. Kind of make them turn a little bit. Okay, he's freed up. Okay, one more to go. You want this lubricated up good, because as we push this back down into the bores there, we don't need these things to be trying to roll over. And also I'm going to put a light coating of Vaseline on this. The slippery the better. As far as we want this to slide really easy down in there. One other thing, if you look down here, you're probably going to see some carbon buildup. And I took some brake clean, and I just had a spray nozzle. I had my tube was on there, so I had it like this, sprayed a little bit in there, kind of break this carbon up. Let this stuff just run out. Okay, so that's looking pretty good now. Okay, now what we want to do now is get you a little bit of oil and put down inside the bores where these here injectors are going to slide down into. Okay, so do that, and then now next step we're going to go ahead and get this here injector rail installed. I'm going to remove the camshaft cover. Okay. Yeah, Mr. O-rings are looking good. Okay. And the reason I did that is just so it gives me a little more access to be able to get down there without this being up in the air. Okay. Get all your injectors lined up over the bores. Okay. And then what you want to do is you want to kind of push down, straight down, and it's probably going to be a little snug. As you can see, they go right on in. Okay, now we got two 10mm bolts here. Okay, getting the bolts started. No Loctite on these. Let's see if we can get them over there. Okay, according to the manual, the torque rating on these two bolts are 18 foot-pounds. All right, as I mentioned, these two bolts, according to the manual, is 18 foot-pounds, but that's a pretty small bolt to me to be 18 foot-pounds. So I'm just going to take it, and I'm just going to snug it up, okay? Just snug it up. We don't want to turn this thing at 18 foot-pounds, and then we strip this here aluminum out. Factory manuals sometimes make mistakes, so you got to look and take it with a grain of salt, you know, what makes sense. Okay? Alright, now we're going to take the connector here for the fuel injector rail. We're going to connect it up. So there's a little bit of an O-ring in there, so take you a little bit of oil. Okay. Let's get the excess off. Now I want to show you something about these connectors. There's probably 5 or 6 different types of these connectors. Now I pointed it out in my earlier videos about how to release these. I thought you would take a screwdriver, pry this here cap, this little insert, and pry it out and come this way. And that does work. However, now I'm going to show you the correct way. I found this out later. If you look at this part right here, just take and press on it. Just press in, okay? Now look and take a look right in here. Straight down in there. See this part of the white? And there's another one up here. As I press it in, watch what happens to it. See how they open up? That's how you release it and put it on, okay? So this makes it a lot easier. So this is the way you release these things, okay? So now we're going to take it, slide them up, push them in, and then he locks on. Okay? Okay, now what I'm going to do now, just so you guys can get a better shot of what I'm doing, I'm going to try to put the stuff in from the bottom and work my way up. For example, if I put the ignition coils on, then it kind of blocked the way of, say, seeing this hose. This way you can see everything what's going on here. So it might be a little bit out of order, you know. We might put on a bracket here and then come back put a hose on here. So that's what I'm going to try to do. You know, with coolant hoses and things like that, again, I like a little bit of Vaseline. Next time around, this thing should slide off of here pretty easy. Okay, just put your thin coat of it on there. Okay, now let's take our hose, get him slid on. Alright, now let's get this here hose clamp in place. And let's see, he looks like he wants to be right there. Okay, alright, so that's good. Okay, again, I'm putting a little bit of Vaseline over here on the thermostat housing. Next time around, this here coolant hose should slide off of there pretty easy. Okay. Alright, let's get him slid on down in there. Okay, let's find a home for him. Okay. Okay, he looks good right there. Okay, I think the next thing is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this connected. Get this connector plugged up to there. Now with all these connectors, I'm going to spray them with some contact cleaner. Okay, and I'm going to put a very, very thin film of dielectric silicone grease. That's purpose of that is just basically to keep moisture out. The reason to clean these contacts, most of these contacts, a lot of them are tin-plated terminals. When the terminals are left exposed to the air for a good period of time, then they start oxidizing. So we're going to spray them a little bit, just kind of clean them up. And let me go over here and get this one too. Okay. And that's what I'm using right there. Now with the terminals cleaned up with a contact spray, I'm going to take just a smidgen of this dielectric silicone grease. Purpose of this is just to keep moisture out. Once the connector is sealed, you know, it's got a weather pack on it, so it would actually seal it. But this will kind of help it along a little bit. Just a very thin film. I'm putting this on the female terminals. Male terminals don't need it because it'll get pushed up in there anyway. Now remember, this dielectric grease here is non-conductive, so you don't want to put so much in there, then it won't even make a connection, but you really have to pile it in there. Now once you do that, let's get this thing connected up. Okay. Now the reason I did that is, as we start building the stuff up, I just want to make sure I get this thing connected up right now so we don't forget about it. Okay. My goodness, look at all of these hoses here. Coolant hoses, vacuum hoses. Okay, now what I'm going to start off with, see this longest hose right here. This hose goes to a T. Now this T goes over and goes down to the left hand side to the helicoil. Now if you remember, this here long hose went through under the runners and it came over to here to the coolant bypass hose assembly over here on this side over here. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Also, take special note of this. See how this here is trying to get up on there? You need to make sure that we get this thing out of the way. This is plastic, and all we need to do is break one of these things, and we'll be in a whirl of, or you can fill in the blank. But anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing, so I'll catch you in the next shot. Okay, I got the hose routed underneath the intake runners. Okay, the other end is back over here. We're going to connect it up to the coolant bypass assembly over there. Okay, so I'll meet you over here on the other side. All right, here's the other end of the hose. Here's where it's going to connect to, right there. It's on the coolant bypass assembly. Again, I got a little bit of Vaseline on there. Let's slide her up. And let me get me some pliers, and we'll get this clamp, and we'll slide them on up here. Okay, we got the hose clamp on. He's nice and secure. All right, let's go to the next step. Okay, we're going to take this hose right here, just to give you a frame of reference. This hose goes back, connects to the back of the throttle body. All right, so we're going to hook him up on here. Again, I got a thin film of Vaseline on there. Okay. And he looks good. Okay, we're going to take the brake vacuum booster hose. You can see it connects right over to here. I left it connected, didn't tear it down before. So this is the end. Let's take him. I'm going to route him all up underneath these coolant hoses. I'm going to connect him to right over here on the side of the intake manifold. Okay. Let me get my pliers. See if you can get a shot of that. It's down in there. That's it. There it is, right there. Okay, the hose clamp on the vacuum hose here for the brake booster is connected up. Okay. All right. Okay, what we got here is we got a coolant hose over here for the recovery tank from here. Now we're going to take this and we're going to connect to right there on the back of the throttle body. All right. Let's get our hose clamp. Okay, now he's done. Okay, now this hose we're going to hook up. This hose goes to right here. I put a little Vaseline on that one and also on this one. We're going to get that one next. This hose goes down to the right side of the heater coil down here. Okay, so let's slide him on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hook this one up. This hose goes right up to the drain on the engine coolant recovery tank. Okay, let's slide him on there. Okay, I'm going to slide these two clamps up. I'll catch you guys in the next shot. Okay, two hose clamps down here, they're secured. Now we're going to take this hose right here, he's going to go to right here. This hose is going and connects to this T, and it also follows and goes down to the left side of the heater coil. Alright, so let me get me just a tad of Vaseline, just a thin film. Let's slide them on. Let's get my pliers here. Okay, now he's happy. Okay, now we got this here hose clamp. This hose clamp's going to go around here, and it's going to support this hose up above. So look right here, you'll see this here T, you see the strap. Put it right up next to the strap. Then come back over here, and there you go. Now he's done. Hey, I don't know about you guys, but y'all, it's some crazy weather we're having, isn't it? Last 2 days, the day before yesterday, we had a temperature of about 60, I think it was around about 64. And then the next day, it was 76 degrees. Now today, as you see, I'm in my coat here now, and now it's dropped down to about 50 degrees for a high. Crazy weather. Okay, I think what we're going to do now, since we started on the bottom and worked our way up so you can see everything, I think we're going to put this here purge solenoid on next. Okay? Alright, let's put us a little bit of oil on here where the connectors are going to go. Just a drop. That's all you need. Just want to lubricate it up when the O-ring slides over top of it. Okay. Now, get your line. You're going to find out that you need to put this connector on. You got to put this connector on first. All right, let me get it right like it's supposed to be. Okay, there's a tang right here. It's going to go in this notch right down there. How about that? I said the tang and the notch correct this time. All right, so now, take this part right here, squeeze it in, and as you can see, when I squeeze it in, see how it releases? Okay. All right, so let's put it on. Squeezing it in, slide it on, let it go. Whoops. All right, just push it on down. Okay. Now, let's get our bolt in there. Getting the tang lined up. Okay, this bolt's a 12 millimeter head. It's going to be torqued 44 inch-pounds. Now in this case, bolts like this, mounting stuff like this, you could just get in there and secure it up. The only reason I was showing you all of these here torque readings and using the torque wrench to just show you some proper procedure. But something like this, it's nothing critical. Just snug it up. That's all you got to do. Okay. I'll put the torque reading in there just to be complete. Okay. Make sure you got your the tang lined up. Okay. Yeah, he wants a. Okay. Go back just a hair. That's all you got to do. Just snug it up. Okay. Now, let's see. The end of this hose is going to go to right there on that port, on the throttle body. Okay. Now, this one right here, I don't even believe we need to push it down. I think we can just push it on. Okay. And there he is. So he is done. All right, let's put the ignition coil pack on. Two holes are down here, one is on the top. He's going to mount right here, It's going to be using 10mm heads for bolts. Again, I'm just going to snug this up. I'm not going to put a torque wrench on it. As I mentioned earlier, it's nothing critical on this stuff. Just want to snug it up. That's all you want to do. Okay, all you want to do is just snug it up. That's all I'm going to do. This is plastic, so you don't want to be busting and cracking that. Okay. Alright, we have the alternator bracket. We're going to put him on. He'll go on just like this. This hole right here will go to right here. There's another hole right here, and there's another hole right over here. So let's just get a maneuver down in there. Okay. Now these are going to be 12mm head bolts. Torque on these is going to be 27 foot-pounds. Okay, let's get another one right down in there. Probably got to turn the alternator. Let me get this one over here. All right, go ahead and snug them up. Okay, 27 foot-pounds. Okay. All right, now you want to tighten this bolt up down here for the alternator. Now this has got a 14mm head. As I mentioned in a previous video, when we disassemble it, this does not screw into a threaded boss. There's actually a nut behind here that you got a hole, which is also a 14mm. So right now I got a wrench on there, on the back on the nut, holding it. And I got a gear wrench here. And I'm just sitting here and just going to tighten this on up. Don't have a torque setting, just snug it up pretty good. Okay, now we're going to put this bracket on. This bracket to connect from the alternator right here. And it's going to connect to the back of the intake manifold. Also, going to have this here holder. I thought this was some kind of ground connection. Turns out it's just a holder, just holds this harness up. This you want next to that. That's how it was before. And this is how it's going to go, just like that. Got two 12mm bolts here, okay, as far as 12mm heads. Torque setting on these is 16 foot-pounds. There's a hole there somewhere. Okay, finally got them. Okay, now let's get the other one over here. Okay, this is for the alternator connector here. Just gonna put a little contact spray for the same reason that I mentioned earlier. Okay, a little bit of silicone grease, just a smidgen. That's good enough. So let's go ahead and get him connected on down in there. Okay, now he's good. Okay, to save time, I've already cleaned all these connectors up and I put a smidgen of silicone grease on it, Dielectric. Okay, take this here connector and get it slid back up on this bracket right here. Okay, take this one for your oxygen sensor. Just get it plugged up in there. Let's make sure it's in it. Okay. Alright. Okay. Engine coolant temperature sensor. That'll be this one right here. Okay. Okay. Coil pack. So just give you colors to the wires there. Okay. Purge solenoid. Okay. EGR valve. Okay. Alright, let's come over here on this side. Okay, here's a wiring harness for the fuel injectors, camshaft sprocket sensor, and the camshaft sensor. And also for the throttle body. First thing you want to do, take this, stick it in that hole right there. Okay. Now, this one over here, that's going to be for the incoming air temperature. That'll go back up onto your resonator box. So we're going to just set him aside for right now. Alright. Now, this one right here, this one is your camshaft sensor. Okay. He'll go right down there. Wire bail will be to the front, or to the back I should say. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't have my camshaft cover bolted down. I'm going to do a few more tests. I'm going to do a leakage test. I want to verify everything looks good before I put that on. But that's where that's going to go. Show you the color of the wires. Okay. Also, here's your crankshaft sensor. What you want to do is put it in your wire bails right here. Put it right there. Snap it in there. Snap it in there. Bring it on down. And he's going to snap. He's going to go right into here. Okay. So he's going to go in this short connector. Alright. Alright. First one right here. Injector number 1. Let me just tuck him out of the way. Let's put him in. Push your connector down, the gray part. Okay. Now this part right here, this is going to your map sensor. Go ahead and we'll plug him on up. Okay. Injector number 2. Push your gray connector down. Okay. Injector number 3. Push him down. Push the gray connector down. Injector number 4. Push him down. Push the gray connector down. Okay. Alright. Throttle body. You'll plug up right there. Okay. Now, we'll put a little bit of tie wrap on there. Hold that down. I'm going to put one right in there. Not too tight. You want to make sure you got a little bit of slack in there. Okay. Okay. All right. I believe we're going to wrap this video up. I appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to do a few more things. I'll catch you guys in the next video here. All right, y'all be good.